Welcome back to Copperhead Customs. What are we doing today? Well, you'll have to stick around if you want to find out. Well, today we're going to do something different. That's right. Yep, we are having a break from our hot rods.
Well, what are we doing then?
Yeah, what are we doing? What are we doing? Well, I'm glad you asked. We are going to do a how to do a flip car. How to do a flip car? That's right, in this episode we're buying a car from auction that's been smashed. And we're going to go through the process of repairing it and getting it ready for sale. We'll be doing paint, mechanical, detailing. That's right, the whole process. So if that sounds of interest, you should stick around. And hey, in this one, you may just learn something. This is a Suzuki Swift Sport, 2008 model. These run a 1.6 fuel injected motor. These are actually quite zippy, quite sporty, and this obviously has been in an accident, but it is just a minor little fender bender. It is not much, but it got written off. So obviously guard, headlight, we've got some damage to the bonnet, the bumper bar, we've got some suspension damage, some damage to that tyre. It's got into the door a little bit. We found a scratch here. It's obviously off one of the forklifts at the auction house. The bottom side skirt is popped. When we come around the back's nice. We'll try to do a bit of a PDR on that and try to buff that transfer off, see how we go. We want to look at taking these stripes off and redoing them, or at least putting new vinyl over the top, but we'll try to get the original off first. We've got another set of wheels in black, same style but black ones with brand new tyres. We will either repair the door or we'll see if I can find some cheap ones. Place the guard, as you can see here. I've just dug through all my parts. One thing you may not have known is I specialise in these Swifts. We've got the guard, we've got the headlight. We will do a bonnet repair. We'll repair this, and we should basically be able to pretty much mask that line and just paint this corner. And we will repair this bumper because these bumpers are rare and very expensive. So we will do a repair on this. Then we'll go through, we'll give it a service. Go through any mechanical issues. I think the check engine light's on, so we'll have to address that. Also typical on these Swift Sports, they have sport seats in them. So on the other one over there, there's a little rip in the bolster here. They're renowned for it. They got a very bony little bolster with a rod in it, and they are renowned for ripping. You can see the little rip there. I've got another seat that it's actually a passenger seat, but if you pull them all to pieces, you can put the foam and the cover from the passenger onto the driver's frame. So we will do that. We will probably pull that aftermarket stereo out, and I have a factory sport stereo that we will put in. Other than that, inside is pretty good. Yeah, the car will get fully detailed, and we'll go over the mechanical, and this thing will look $1 million, and it'll be very, very simple. So stick around, we'll go through the process and see how easy it can be and how good a job we will do on it. So first things first, that I'm going to do quickly, we're going to bang this guard off. There'll be two bolts here. There'll be a bolt up here. There's one down in here that you get in from there, one down on the bottom, and there's one here. 3 bolts on the headlight. We'll get the headlight off. We'll probably rip the bumper off while we're at it. It's 4 bolts for the bumper and a few on the bottom. And we'll open all this up and assess. There'll be some damage to the inner structure of the rad support here. We'll have to dolly up, and then we'll get into this wheel. We'll get it jacked up, we'll get this wheel off, and we'll rip this suspension apart quickly. So we'll call in a minute when we get to that. So let's get going. Okay, so like I said, these are such a simple thing to work on. I think we've been at it for about 10-15 minutes, and we are all torn down. Okay, now you see here the damage. Our 2 mounts, our guard mount here, pair of pliers, we'll straighten that out. This one here we'll need to do a little bit of dolly work on. As you can see, it needs to come up a bit and tweak, but I bent that with my hands. Now our corner of our rad support, we'll give this a little pull and a little bit of dolly work, and that it doesn't need much. And then here, this piece here is meant to be straight, and this bracket here actually sticks out this way. So very simple to dolly that up, pull that straight. As you can see, there's nothing else wrong in here. That's not dented or nothing. That's all factory. We've got a little bit of paint ripped off. We'll squirt a bit of paint there, but it has a guard liner. As you can see, there's nothing wrong here. The chassis rail, perfect. There's no tweak. Suspension wise, you can see our lower control arm is bent badly, but if you look at our strut, right, if you look at the strut look almost perfect. So I think the strut is fine. Our steering arm looks fine. Our drop link looks fine. So I honestly believe we just have the bent lower only, and everything else is good. So we'll quickly replace that lower. To do that, we've got a bolt here we've got this bolt here that comes in from underneath. There's a 14mm bolt in there, and then you can drop the ball joint out. So it is, seriously, it will take us 10 minutes and that will be done. Let's get the suspension done and drive it off the trailer. Oakley. So as you can see, we removed the battery tray, the radiator overflow bottle, the ECU's bolted to the battery tray. We've moved the fuse box, which was in the corner there. We've unbolted all that, got it all out of the way. We then went and pulled and dollied all the corner, which we've got pretty good. Now we've done a bit of work on this. Now see this gap here? This gap is too big. Now it does not affect anything, but I want to give this another pull. Not sure if I'm going to pull it or if I'm going to use the porta power in there, but I want this pushed over a little bit because I want that gap a bit closer. Does it affect anything at all? Nothing at all. It's just me being pedantic. So worst case, if I can't get it, it's I think 2 or 3 spot welds up the top here, and I think there's 4 here. This bolt's off. I think there's 4 here, so we can, and I've got plenty of these. It's part of the rad support, so I've got plenty of these out the back that we can swap it with if we so choose. So we'll give that a go tomorrow. But now we've put our headlight on and our guard on, and now the guard's not bolted down the bottom properly yet, but as you can see, we've got a nice door gap already. Like it's just a quick fit. We've got a nice gap on our headlight, and when we close the bonnet, that was French, we have a nice gap there. Now with these Swifts, they're very easy to manipulate the brackets and get your gaps good anyway, but as you can see there, we have it's pretty good as it is, but I want to address that. Now I'm going to quickly panel beat this edge of the bonnet and get that ready for sanding, and it will have a little skim and a bit of undercoat and paint. And other than that, yeah, so tomorrow we'll give that a pull. Yeah, we're getting there. Okay, there's all that done. We gave this a pull, slightly off camera. We actually took our come along up higher and we put a bar inside it and put a strap on and pulled it, and a little bit of dolly, and got that gap now all closed up. But that's all closed up and looks factory again. The guard is now mounted back on with all bolts all done up, perfect gap. Same with our headlight, all perfect gapped. We've put our ECU and our fuse box and everything all back in. It all went in beautiful, no issues. So it is all nice and straight. We actually just used a little bit of paint in a spray pack. It's actually for my car seats it was, and it's, as you can see, it's a pretty good match to inside on the Swifts. As you can see everywhere, it doesn't have the clear done. It's like a matte color. It's actually not the same as the outside color. It is just like a matte red. So if you were to paint the base coat, which is full of pearl, it would not match. So yes, we've used like a matte red, which is actually very good. We just feathered the edges out to blend it a bit because it's a touch off, but it's pretty much unnoticeable. So yeah, everything's bolted back in, and as you can see, our gap is very good. So we now have to give it a clean, and we can then address this bit of bodywork that we want to do. But I think I might start on the bumper. Okay, so as you can see, we have a big split through here, and we have another one here. We've got a little cut here. We've got a few imperfections. First thing that we will do is we will, as you can see, we put the clamp on just to sort of get us semi in line. Okay, now we will go through with our little machine down there, which I'll show you in a second, which actually basically staples the bumper together. So we will come in from the back with one of these little jiggers, and that goes in this little tool. Now you get this off eBay or whatever, and you stick that in there, press the button, it gets hot, it melts into the plastic, and then you twist it. It then will hold it together. So that's our next step, is we'll run a heat of these all through on the other side, joining this all together. We will then get I have a big crazy soldering iron, and I'll come through and melt it all together. We will then sand it all flush, and then we'll apply some fiberglass, or we will just put some filler on. We actually have proper plastic bumper bar filler. We'll put a bit of that on. Sand, primer, sand, all of that malarkey. So hopefully you're looking at that decently. So yes, as I said, we'll just put that on there. We make sure we're nice. And we've got to go not too crazy because they will burn straight through. You can see it's melting in. We'll go a little bit deeper. We will then turn it, let the button off, hold it in for a few seconds till it resets, and pull it out, and vamoose, we now have a piece of metal inside the plastic holding it together. Okay, so here's our bumper. As you've seen, we used a little tool over here, and we put all the staples in underneath in the ripped, cracked, torn areas. Then we came through, and on the top here, we actually used the soldering iron. I got a big soldering iron, and we actually melt it in like that, and then smooth it out, and threw a little bit of extra plastic on. The same on the other side. Hopefully you can see under there, we melted some extra plastic in. Then we've hit it down with some 36 grit and smoothed it out a bit. Took the highs off. We then burned down a little bit. Then we just got some 400, smoothed it all out, scuffed up all the sanded areas. We put a big thing of filler over it. We'll let that set up tonight. We'll come back tomorrow. We'll knock this down. We might need to give it one more coat. A lot of this will come off. But yeah, so up here, we're a bit high. It sort of has a little bit of a dip. So yeah, we're going to sort of smooth that out. and there was a little bit of a imperfection here. So anyways, we will sandal that up. Anyway, now the other thing we did was I've started working on this dent. I don't know if you can recall, but there was a big stove there, and you can see we have to buff this off, but I've been getting in there and I'm trying to PDR that. So I've actually got the dent mainly out. I've got a little bit left there, and I've just got a couple of little pins here. So we'll do a bit more on that tomorrow, making more progress. I will see you in the morning.
Oh, I see nothing. I was not here. I did not even get up this morning.
Okay, you would have seen we just gave the car a wash and got all the writing off the windows. We gave it a wash because this had all rubbish on it and I wanted to do this corner. I then just sanded this down with some 60-80 grit. Got it nice. We just put a tiniest little skim. Most of this will get sanded off, and then we will give this little area a little bit of undercoat. We've also hit from this stripe this way with some 400 to scuff it back, getting it ready for paint. We'll give that another go over later on. Now, coming over to the bumper, we've given the first sand down. We then did it with the 60-80 grit, and then smoothed the edges out with the 400. We then had a couple of lows, and we do have a little bit of a high just through here where the repair was. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to have a little, there is going to probably be a little tiny wave because I don't want to keep putting filler in it. But we had a low here, so I've built that up a bit, and had a low here. We've built that up a bit. So what we'll do is we'll sand these down. We'll now do it by hand probably, and then we'll give it some undercoat and give it a light sand and see what it comes up like. Oakley. So as you can see, we've laid some primer down and given it a quick sand back. Now I didn't have much primer, so it was a very thin coat, as you can see, so we've been burning through everywhere, and you can still see some of the guide coat on there. I'm out of primer, so I need to go into town to buy some more primer. I thought I had a few litres left, but I was out. Coming along though, as you can see, it's not perfect here. There's a little bit of a high here still, but it's not too bad. So we'll go get some high build primer, give this a couple of coats, 2 or 3 coats. That's all nice and smooth now. We've given that its sand filler. You can still see some of the scratches there the same. So that's all masked up, ready for the primer. But what we are going to do now is, I've just mixed the paint up, but I'll show you the process. So this here is our paint code. It is on the door of the car. It says ZDF, which is the code, which is Supreme Red number 2. Now I paint in base coat, which is a 2-part system. So you lay the colour down first and it goes flat, it has no shine whatsoever. And then when you add the clear over the top, it will pop. This is for 0.25 of a litre, half a litre, 1 litre, 2, and so on. And these are your tints, and this is how many mils. So you stick it on your scales and zero them out, and we grab SE317 and we put 104.94 mils. Then we zero, once we're happy with that, we zero the scales out and we grab this one, BC261, and we put 84 grams in. So we come through our paint system down here. Now it's probably a little bit dark, but SE317. So we come down here, and SE317 is that one, which is Radiant Red Special Effect Tinter. So it's a pearl. Okay, we also want SE319, which is this one here. So you can see that, another pearl. So, you know, we need 19 of that one, and so on and so forth. And over here, these are our base coat colors. Up here, we've got automotive enamels. Down there we have more automotive enamels. This is all our base coat system through here. On the other side we have our 2-pack colours at the top, and then we have our acrylics as well. Now these special effects tinters, which are our pearls, they will work with the acrylic or the base coat or the 2-pack or any, but they won't work, I don't think, with the enamels. So we go through here, we find our tinters that we want, we come over this side, we find our BC 261 for argument's sake, which should be down here somewhere. No, 261, it'll be this one here, is 261, boom, which is Rubine Red, and that one takes 84 grams. So we grab our scales, like I said, zero them out, pour 84 grams in, and so on until we have this done perfectly. Now you need to get these almost perfect, of course, to get your colour correct. Now, I know 99% of you are not going to have this to be able to work from, but you'll get, this is what the bloke at the paint shop, when you take him your paint code, this is what he will do. He'll go through. Now, this whole thing, if you're wondering what this is this is a mixing station. So when you turn it on, all these little jiggers here turn around. If you look on the top of the thing, they actually hook into that and turn that around. And inside here is a little, like, what would you say, like a little windmill type thing, a little mixer that spins around. So that's what that thing is, and if you're wondering what was going on in the background, that's what that was. And so when you have done your formula, this is what you're mixed up with. Now I mixed half a litre up, and there is our colour. Now this has a lot of pearl. The camera probably will not pick it up, but this colour is over 50% pearl. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful colour, and that's just something you might not have known. Now, there's a little bit on my finger here. Now, admittedly, when the colour's wet, it will not be the same as when it is dry. So, as you can see there, I've just put a little bit of the paint on, and as you can see, it is very, 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 very close. Admittedly, the colour will change a tiny bit as it dries, so this, generally, like I said, the red turns out pretty much on the money. But this is what you do. When you paint this, we'll do it on the bonnet, it'll be the easiest way to describe it. So we're going to paint this. Now we're just going to mask up to this, our line that's here, but we're not going to paint this whole panel, this whole section red. We're just going to paint this area. This area is going to get heavy red, and then we're going to just sort of flick out a little bit and just sort of dust a bit of the red out, which is called a blend. Yes, so it's just going to have a little blend off. Okay, so that means if this color is a tiniest little bit out, you won't notice it because it will go like, okay, so it'll be heavy here because we've got to cover that, but then out here it just sort of will dust off, dust out, and then we will clear over the top to there solid, which will pop the shine up and bring it all back to look beautiful.
Beautiful letters for the...
Oakley dokley. So we're halfway through, or 3/4 of the way through painting. As you can see, we did all the body work. We used some spray party primer and got the corner all beautiful, sanded it, scuffed it all down, masked up on our black stripe. So we did a little trial on the black stripe with some black paint, and it didn't really work. It was all still cracked and looked like rubbish. So we took off today and went and bought some vinyl. So we'll redo these stripes. We bought a satin black. I think that would look good. So we've laid down our base coat, a couple of coats, 2 or 3 coats of base coat, and we've used our clear. Now this is a different clear than what I'd normally use, so I'm having to paint a little bit different to how I normally like to paint. So I like to just pretty much dust my first coat on, then come in a little bit heavier, a little bit heavier. But this stuff wants you to put a medium coat down and then a real heavy coat. And when you do it, the way they say, it glasses out beautifully, but it is so close to running. So to get it to go like glass, it's right on the verge of runs, okay? And if you don't go that hard, can be a bit peely. So this has had 3 coats now of the clear, and as you can look at that. That is like absolute glass, ladies and gentlemen. Now there's a little piece of trash has got in it just there. Other than that, that has turned out a treat. There is hardly any orange peel at all in there, and other than a few little bits of trash, that looks awesome. Now the bumper looks really good. There's a piece of trash right there, and the bumper the same. Like, it looks, I don't know if you can spot that very well, but that is like absolute glass. There you go, look at that. Hey, hardly any peel in there at all. Okay, but we got the hugest run down here. I had a monster run. So what I'm doing now is I'm just trying to work it out. So what I'm doing is I hit it really heavy again and got the run to keep running. As you can see, it's like dripping off. We'll give that a little tickle. And I've just been slowly like working this run, and I've got it to where it's pretty good. So that's a little bit of an art there to do that. So see how much we got excess. Now that's been dripping, as you can see down here. We're actually dripping. Here's another drip about to go. But that's to get rid of the run. We had to create a bigger run, if that makes sense. So we haven't finished yet. Like I said, we've got to give it another coat. Anyways, that's all our paint. That'll be our paint done. We'll put a bit of touch up on that, and just with the brush, and it's sort of not as noticeable now. So what I'm going to, this will have to get buffed, but what we're going to do is we're going to leave that for now. We'll put it up. If it gets picked on, then we'll do some body work. And on this back one, I don't know if you guys remember that, so I've PDR'd this as much as I can. It's much better. It's still not perfect. You can see there's a, but this here was actually kinked in. It was pretty bad. Okay, so we've unmasked it. We have the bumper sitting on. It's not bolted on yet, but it's just sitting on. We just polished the headlight. And if you want to know how to do that, don't go wasting your money. Go get a piece of 2000 grit wet and dry sandpaper. Sand the headlight. That's all. Just sand it with wet and dry water. Sand it up. You'll see it all. Well, the water will be dirty until you get that to like a nice, it won't come clear, but it will be milky because you're sanding into the clear coat, yes? But when it's coming out in a tannish colour, it's no good. You want it to at least just be white milky residue. Then you've got all the dirt and imperfections out of it. It should be pretty good. Then just polish it. If you haven't got a buffer, just hand polish it even. It'll just take you a bit longer. If you've got a buffer, hit it with the buff, bang, headlight's done. Okay, so don't waste your money buying these stupid rejuvenation kits, because that's all they are, is a bit of sandpaper and a bit of polish. Now, we've detailed the engine, we've done the headlight like I said, we've got to bolt the bumper on properly, but we're quickly going to run around the car and quickly polish it so that we can get, for argument's sake, our guard, which is showing a little bit of colour difference, but it's just that that's not polished. And you can see the difference here to here is this has just got all dirt in it. So we're going to give it a quick polish before we do our stripes. We're going to bolt the bumper on, do our stripes, and we'll go from there. Okay, engine bay, all detailed, everything's bolted in, battery's bolted, everything is finished. Front bumper is on, properly, all bolted, polished, the whole bit, but we just have to do the stripes. Headlights, polished. How good. There's the polished headlight, turned out pretty well. So there is our mismatch. Now this was actually quite a challenge because there was no mount brackets left. Probably could handle a little bit of epoxy in there, which I normally put on. We've got it all screwed, guard liner in, all the plastics in here, the blinker put on, wheels, woohoo, have a look at them. We've still got to quickly put one of these on. I've got to go find one out the back. The side skirt's all been reattached properly, and how good are those wheels looking? So around to the back, everything's done in here, other than giving it a quick vacuum, and of course doing our stripes. But it has all been quickly polished, and along here it's all the same, all finalized. As you can see at the back here, Our PDR's turned out pretty well, because from where you are, you can hardly even notice it. So what's left? Like I said, we've got to do the vinyl stripes, we've got to change the stereo and change the seat, detail the inside. I think that's it. Go and test it. And the best thing is, it's cost us $0 and we haven't spent any time on it. All right, Rooney. There it is. What do you think, guys? I think it turned out absolutely beautiful. So we've done the black wheels. It's all been cleaned. Our PDR on the back. You can hardly notice it. If you get up really close, you can hardly even pick it on camera. You can pick it just. We've done our vinyl stripes in the satin black. They turned out very good. Coming around here, we didn't end up doing that little dent. You can see it's hardly noticeable. So we didn't do that. We've given it a polish, quick polish. It's actually running at the moment. It's purring like a kitten. As you can see now, our colour, very, very similar after the polish. And our bumper repair, our bonnet repair, new guard, new headlight. Polished up this headlight to match. With the front suspension, it drives straight, steering wheel straight. This thing's purring like an absolute kitten. Inside, let's open the door. Just got to give this seat a bit more of a clean, but there's our new seat on. Some new mats all detailed inside. Change the stereo over to the stock one. What else did we do? That's probably it. How good do those black wheels look? Hey, it's a good looking little car, this one. So now these are different to the standard Swifts. The Swift Sports are. As you can see, they have the sportier front and rear bumpers. They also have a bigger motor. They have the sport headlights. They run a 5-stud disc brake front and rear, as opposed to 4-stud. The standard ones have drums in the back. These have discs in the back. They run the side skirts, the wing, the twin exhaust system. They don't have a spare tyre, different tail lights. They're pretty much a different car, nearly. Sport steering wheel, leather gear knob. They're all manual. Sport seats. They run the aluminium inside instead of black. and these run a 1.6 litre motor as opposed to the 1.5. These things pump out, I think, from memory, 105 horsepower, I think. Or is it 105 kilowatts? One of the two, anyway. But anyway, price. The price is pretty much the purchase price. We had the wheels in stock. We had the fender. We had the headlight. We made our own paint. We had all the filler, the primer. We had the seat. We had the stereo. So we had the lower control arm. We had every single thing for this car to fix it in stock. But if you were to have done this, you would have had to have bought at least one tyre, a guard. If you could repair all that, and a headlight and a lower control arm. So anyways, a bit of dribble. I think we've done a damn good job. I think that will sell real quick. That's just got to go in for an inspection now. And yeah, I'd say it took me, I don't know, I'll add it up properly, I reckon less than 20 hours. Probably closer to 10 anyway. With that being said, something different this week. Just showing you how to do a little flip car. Smash car from the auctions, and we've turned it into that. Beautiful, beautiful looking car. So, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.